Today we're going to read a story about magic pillows. It's a story about a wizard, some cousins that go playing in the forest, and lots of magic. So I hope you enjoy it!
Okay, are you ready? It's the Magic Pillows. This book is dedicated to Preston, Zane, Cecily, Macy, and Josie. It's written and illustrated by Carrie Gorham. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was an old wise wizard that lived on top of the very highest mountain in the town. This wizard lived in a cave with his pet duck. His cave was filled with magic spellbooks, potions, and cauldrons of all sizes. At this particular moment in the time, this old wizard was brewing a new potion very carefully over a hot fire. His pet duck was sleeping soundly close by when all of a sudden the potion began to boil over. 5 drops of the potion attached themselves to 5 different feathers on the sleeping duck. The duck didn't move, but continued to snore on the floor while the wizard wiped up the mess. Later that day, the duck was taking a stroll outside of the cave on the top of the mountain when a great gust of wind blew the 5 feathers right out of the duck. Back and forth they went. They blew all the way down the mountain right into a pillow factory in the middle of the town. Each feather was sewn onto its own pillow, placed into a box, and put onto a train headed west. The train ride got a little bumpy, and the top 5 boxes, which contained the 5 pillows with the 5 feathers in it, fell from the train and rolled down to a hidden spot in the forest. There the boxes sat for hundreds of years. One day, 2 families went on a picnic in the forest. After lunch, the kids went to play while their parents talked. The children consisted of 2 boys and 3 girls: Preston, Zane, Cecily, Macy, and Josie. Playing tag, they all disappeared further and further into the forest. They all saw something which silenced them as they froze in their tracks. Preston was the first one to move. He snuck over to the pile of boxes covered in dirt and bugs, while everyone else watched, waiting with anticipation. He was peeking under one flap, trying to see inside. Zane could stand it no longer, and he ran over by Preston, eager to investigate the situation. Together they opened the first box. It was a pillow, a plain, ordinary pillow. Not very exciting. It's not like it was candy or toys or anything, but luckily there were 4 more boxes that were sure to have something good in them. By then, Cecily, Macy, and Josie were helping with the boxes. Each box contained 1 pillow, so they each took a pillow and dragged them back to where their parents were sitting on the picnic blanket. That night, they all slept in their new pillows and began to dream the best dreams they had ever dreamed before. Nobody knew it, but the potion that had spilled on the feathers had turned the feather into magic feathers, which made the pillows magic. The dreams that you dream while sleeping on these magic pillows will come true. Josie was the first to fall asleep. In her dream, she was a sorceress, a good sorceress. She took her scepter and went around turning weeds into flowers and mosquitoes into butterflies. She was a happy sorceress and was smiling the whole night with her eyes closed. Macy was the next to sleep into dreamland. The very minute she was asleep, she grew the most beautiful sparkling wings anyone could imagine, and she began to fly. Macy soared all over the world. She flew over mountains and over oceans. She flew over buildings, statues, and sculptures. She waved to her mom and dad and all of her friends. Cecily was the next to begin dreaming. She found herself in a pink castle with a gorgeous pink dress with lace and ruffles all over it. On top of her tiny head sat a tiny crown of diamonds, emeralds, and rubies. She went into the ballroom, the most beautiful room of all, and met the prince, and they danced all night long. Zane was asleep shortly after Cecily. A dark brown horse came up to Zane and asked if he would like a ride. Yes, the horse could talk. The horse told Zane that his name was Lightning, as he bent down low enough for Zane to climb on. Zane rode Lightning through the fields, talking and laughing all the way to the apple orchard where they ate all of the apples that they could. Preston was the last to sleep. He was a superhero. A yellow cape hung from his neck and a yellow mask wrapped around his eyes. He had a slingshot in one hand and peas in the other. He spent all night chasing bad guys and shooting peas at them. When Zane's mom entered his room to wake him that morning, she was startled by Lightning laying beside Zane in his bed. He looked up and greeted her in a deep, hoarse voice. "Good morning." At the screaming of his mother, Zane woke up and was thrilled to see that his dream had come true. Zane was still in his pajamas, jumped on the horse, and asked of his mother if it would be all right to go for a ride. Still in a daze, she agreed. At Preston's house, he was awakened by Cecily's high-pitched squeal. The next thing he knew, she was beside his bed in the pink gown and crown. She was rambling on about how her dream had come true and that their house had turned into a castle. She squealed once again and skipped off to inform her parents of the great news. Preston, still confused, stood up but was caught by something. He turned and saw the corner of his yellow cape was wedged between the mattress and the headboard. He gave it a good yank and he was free. He ran to the mirror, saw the yellow mask, and was ecstatic. He found his slingshot and some peas on the floor. Preston swooped them up and dashed after Cecily. Zane's mom was now accompanied by his dad, who had heard her screams. They went in to wake Macy together. Everything appeared to be normal in her room. She was lying on her back, sound asleep. Her dad gently lifted her from her bed when her giant wings unfolded from behind her. This was so unexpected he almost dropped her. She lightly flapped her wings and began to fly around the room. They ran to Josie's room with Macy flying close behind. Josie was in her crib, grinning as if she had the biggest ice cream cone in the world, yet she was still sleeping. Her little hands gripped the miniature scepter. She slowly opened her eyes and continued to grin. Pointing here and there, she giggled as flowers grew from the carpet. Later that day, the two families gathered at the school to watch Preston's baseball game. He was easy to spot in his yellow mask and cape, running from second to third base. They were all curious as to why these strange things were happening, but no one said a thing. They all carried on as if it were a normal day and there was nothing unusual about talking horses and flying babies. A cheer from the crowd brought their attention back to the game just as Preston slid into home. Preston looked up, and next to them was sitting an old man with a long beard, blue cloak, and a pointy hat. It was the wizard. He smiled at Preston, patted Macy on the head, and then disappeared. That night, just after they had all gone to bed, the wizard appeared to each child, one by one, and told them the story of his duck. His duck had been looking for his 5 missing feathers that had blown away hundreds of years ago. When he saw all of the strange happenings, he knew right where to look. He politely asked for the magic feather out of each pillow. Josie gave back her feather and her scepter left her hand, and the flowers had gone from the carpet. Macy gave her feather to the wizard, and her wings slowly flew away. Zane said goodbye to Lightning and then gave the wizard his feather. Preston handed over his feather along with his slingshot. Cecily, however, was not willing to give hers up. She wanted to be a princess forever. The wizard explained to her that even though he was taking the magic feathers, he was not taking their dreams. When they went to sleep, they could have their gowns, their capes, horses, wings, and butterflies, or whatever they could possibly dream of. They would always have their dreams, and it was up to them to make their dreams come true. Cecily reluctantly gave back the feather and went to sleep on her pillow. She was all of a sudden back in her gown with ruffles and lace, dancing in the ballroom with her prince. The end.